Welcome to CYA Condos. I'm Lori Greenlee, and we are here to help educate American condo buyers and owners until the proper legislation, regulations, and fiduciaries are in place to protect the U.S., similar to parts of Canada and Malaysia. Today, we're going to talk about two simple red flags you can look for that could help you save tens of thousands of dollars or more. We'll also cover the 6 things that every condo buyer should review and understand before committing to a purchase. There are only 134 days left for certain condos within 3 miles of a coastline throughout Florida to have completed their reserve studies and structural inspections. Per the legislation Governor DeSantis adopted in May of 2022, SB 4D, HOAs will also need to take care of any structural issues and fully funded reserves. The reserve study is an analysis that will tell you exactly how much is needed to fund those reserves. Reserve study tells you 3 things. Specifically, what you are reserving for, also known as the component list, the strength of your current reserve fund, also known as percent funded, and a funding plan crafted to allow for timely repairs and replacements without reliance on additional funding sources. That is according to association reserves. It is the same idea as if you are saving on a monthly basis in preparation to repair or replace items in your single-family home, such as your roof in 10 years, your hot water heater next year, your air conditioning unit in 3 years, painting, siding in 4 years, and your windows maybe in 5 years. You have one account that you're setting all that money aside in for you to pay those as they arise. To date, the U.S. reserve companies believe only 30% of all condo buildings in America have done reserve studies. This is why many HOAs are seeing surprise assessments. Through the years, it was a rule of thumb to save 10 to 15% in reserves, but nobody knew if that was sufficient, or many HOAs just chose to self-fund, meaning condo owners, that's the HOA, would agree to write a check for issues as they arose. A very large number of HOAs from early years have not only underfunded, but many didn't save at all, and today's owners cannot write those checks like the original owners could. The original idea of a condo was for everyone to pool the expenses and maintenance of homeownership together so it would cost less and be less work for everyone under the one condominium roof. However, condo owners of the past were not guided properly by any type of guidelines or regulation and were not required to do reserve studies and structural inspections. If they had been, they would have been aware of what they needed to do to be safe so tragedies like Surfside didn't happen, but also exactly what needed to be done for regular repairs and upkeep planning, and how much to save accordingly. Not only could this have saved a lot of heartache between neighbors when it came to voting on financial, upkeep, structural, and amenity types of issues, but now today's condo owners are paying the price for those lack of decision makers literally today. The toughest part is that these are buildings meant to need major repairs in 30 to 40 years of age, and 50% of all of our condos in America were built 30 years ago, with many more much older than that, knowing that the first condos in America started in 1960. Even worse, nobody is protecting or guiding the condo owner or buyer. There's no fiduciary. The realtor is not permitted to discuss the HOA or that very large packet of documents that is provided to the buyer during the due diligence part of the buying process, because that part is a business. The realtor is licensed and trained to sell real estate, and in this case, the real estate is simply that condo, the 4 walls, held within a very large commercial building, the asset that the HOA owns. It is left up to the consumer, the buyer, to go through all of the HOA documents, the financials, and insurance on the building to determine the condition and health of that business and its assets and liabilities. The majority of buyers don't review the HOA document package in detail. As a matter of fact, statistics show that fewer than 25% of all buyers who purchase a home or condo in an HOA review the documents, and fewer than 10% go through them in detail and understand what they're looking at prior to signing the documents for purchase. So what is the one red flag that should jump out if you are purchasing a condo within 3 miles of a coastline in the next 134 days in Florida? This one simple thing might help. If the HOA fee seems low, pay attention. This should probably be a red flag for anyone purchasing a condo 20 years or older in the United States. However, if the condo developments in Florida have done the work that SB 4D requires, there's a strong chance special assessments will be needed to fund the reserves, and the HOA fees will be substantially higher, unfortunately, but not in all cases. Here's another tip. If the price of the condo seems low, that might even be a red flag. It might be that the owner is trying to get out of the condo before they are assessed. But it could also mean that they have been assessed and the owner had to decrease the home price to sell because they can't afford to pay the assessment. This could actually be a win-win for you and the seller because they want to avoid foreclosure. What do you do if any of these red flags jump out at you? Red flags or not, in all cases, before you make an offer on a condo in the United States, but especially in Florida right now, these are the 6 things to review and understand. You've got to ask for and review a current reserve study. Without a reserve study, there is no possible way to know the true value of a condo. Remember, only 30% of all condos in America have these. Structural inspection. You must review and understand this. You need to know what work has been done already and what work still needs to be done and how much it's going to cost. You need to ask for all of the HOA financials. You need to make sure that the reserves match what the reserve study recommends and that there is enough money to set aside for upcoming structural repairs. You need to ask for all of the HOA organizational documents, the articles of organization, the bylaws, the CCNRs, and any other documents that the HOA uses to operate under. You need to make sure those rules that they have implemented are rules you can live with. And you need to understand how this business is structured so that you know what you are taking on liability-wise. You need to ask for 12 months of HOA meeting minutes, review each month in detail to pick up on any common themes of interest that might identify a potential assessment coming up that has not been given to the homeowners to date. And then review and understand the master insurance policy extremely well. You can ask your agent to help you. If the HOA has not done a reserve study or the structural inspection work, whether in Florida or not, be prepared for an assessment if you choose to proceed with the purchase. There is no possible way to know if the HOA is funded properly without this information. But in Florida's case, it's not a matter of waiting for components to fail, like in the rest of America's condo cases. In Florida's case, it's a matter of state requirements that are due by the end of this year, and they will be assessed sooner than later if they have not been doing the right thing over these past years. If you are within 3 miles of a coastline, you have until the end of this year to comply. If you're inside of 3 miles of coastline, you have until the end of next year to comply. Please hit subscribe and continue to follow us for the most up-to-date information on condo rules and education until America finds a way to protect condo buyers with a fiduciary during the purchase process and owners with legislation like that in Florida and New Jersey, similar to what they have in parts of Canada and Malaysia. Thank you for following. Have a great day.